Hi there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review, and today I'm very excited to check out Mod X from Cryptozoic. This is for 2 to 4 players, age is 15 plus. It'll take about 20-30 minutes to play. I do want to start off by saying ignore that age is 15 plus. And Mod X is an abstract strategy game that is a lot like Gamers Connect 4, except with wild tokens and point markers and all sorts of crazy stuff like that. But is it good? Let's open it up and I'll tell you about it. Alrighty then, we're going to take a look at what's running inside of Mod X, a game of strategies. First and foremost, we got our handy dandy rule booklet. It's 26 pages, double-sided, full color, but don't freak out. You're only going to need actually pages 1 through 4. It'll have you up and running in no time at all. It's a very simple game. I can teach you how to play it right now. So Mod X is an abstract strategy game where you are going to trying to be getting one of 3 patterns. You're either going to be trying to get the X, the plus, or 5 in a row. You're going to be doing that by placing your X's out onto the board. You also might notice that there are some clear X's right here. These are wild X's. They can be used in order to score one of the 3 different shapes. However, they don't count as victory points for you, because when you complete a shape, you'll put these little tiles of your color out there, and those will be your victory points. But be forewarned that other people can still steal those victory points from you. I'll show you how it works. Component-wise, we got a nice, thick, sturdy board right here. This thing's got a little bit of heft to it. It's very weighty, very nice. Doesn't feel flimsy at all. Also, you're going to have a bunch of X's in 4 different colors. These are going to be because it is up to a 4-player game. You're also going to have 8 of these wild X's right here. Even though the game only calls for 5, they included 3 more in case you want to modify the game, which is a nice thing as well. Next, you're going to have these scoring markers right here. You're going to be trying to get these on the board. So how does it all work? Well, they say the first player is going to set out all the different X's, the wild X's, and the only rule is you can't set them next to each other, and then the player next to that person will take the first turn. What do you do on your turn? Well, you probably guessed it. You're going to be playing 1 X. So you might play it, boom, right there. And I'll just walk you through a couple hands right here. So let's see. I might try and block him and go right there, but he might say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and go that. Boom, right there. Then we'll go right there. Why not? Let's see. This guy will go right here. And X will go ahead and he'll think big. He'll plan over here, and which means Orange has successfully completed one of the 3 patterns that you need to complete. So they have completed this pattern right here, the plus. So how does this work? Well, what they're going to do is they're going to take all their pieces off, and when they take it off, they're going to replace it with one of their victory point tokens right there. So boom, 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 and boom. Now, they do not get to place a victory point token on the wild space. They just get to move it to somewhere else. So they can put it, we'll put it right here. And they now have 4 points. However, what can happen is that someone else could potentially play on top of them. So let's just say that we continue to go forward and, Black is able to successfully do this move right here eventually. Well, likewise, they're going to take off their X's, and then they are going to put black tokens over everything else, which means, yes, they're going to be covering over the opponent's victory point, which means they've essentially, it's a 2-point swing right there. So they would just do that, and then you were going to continue this back and forth little tug of war until someone gets to X amount of points, depending on how many players there are in the game, or until someone completely runs out of these tokens right here. There's one other potential victory condition that you can do, and that is if you're ever able to make all 5 of the wild tokens so that they form one of the 3 patterns, you immediately win the game regardless of how many points you have. It's an interesting victory condition. It doesn't happen terribly often, but it can, and I've seen it happen one time when someone wasn't paying attention, so it is something that I wanted to note. But that, in a nutshell, is how Mod X is played. Alrighty then, Mod X from Cryptozoic. What are my final thoughts? Go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, game's not going to be for everybody for a couple different reasons. 2 to 4 players, very very restricted player count. Also, I will mention that at 3 and 4 players, you lose a lot of control. 2 players, it's a very tactical, back and forth type of game. 3 and 4, it's more Wild West, especially at 4 players when you have 5 different colored X's out on the board with the wild ones out there as well. So you lose a good deal of control. Another comment I have with this game is that it's repetitive. You're going to be doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. There's not too many choices to be made in this game. Do I place the X here? Do I place the X there? Do I place the wild here? Do I place the wild there? That is about the extent of your choices. Now, that is a watered-down version because you also have to think about how many points other people have and whether or not you want to try and steal someone else's victory points by playing yours on top of it and stuff like that. But still, it just skims the pond when it comes to choices. Another comment that I had with this game is the fact that there is no theme whatsoever. It is an abstract strategy game in its purest form, which is going to be a turnoff to some people. I personally don't mind, but I say abstract strategy game a lot of the time, and there's a pasted-on theme. This has no theme whatsoever, so do know that. No artwork, no nothing like that. Any other cons? It says age is 15 plus for some peculiar reason. I'm not quite sure why that is. You can easily play this with a 5-year-old. I brought it in my class, and while I did crush those 5-year-olds, they did enjoy the game and had fun with it and understood it, especially once I explained the wilds to them. Any other cons I have with it? No, I was pleasantly surprised by Mod X. I did enjoy the game. Oh, one last con. I would not consider this a game night game, at least not for me personally. It's just the restricted player count at 2 to 4 players, and there's so many other games to play at 2 to 4 players that I would rather play something with a theme, but, you know, every game night is different, so your mileage may vary with that kind of thing. But moving back over to the pros, the game, it's surprisingly good. When I read the rules, I was like, ugh, this is going to be like Connect 4, but with some wild tokens thrown in there. And it is, but it's a good thing, it turns out. So why do I like the game? First thing I like is I like the wild tokens. They spice the game up, they make the game interesting, and they add an alternate victory condition. When I read the rule booklet, I was like, nobody's going to be dumb enough to let that happen to them. And then it happened, and I was like, whoa, you kind of snuck up with that. And somebody won the game despite the fact they were very clearly going to lose. And I always like alternate victory conditions like that. I also like how the scoring structure works, that even though you lock down a spot, that spot is not yours because someone else can go over on top of it, and boom, you have not only lost your victory point chip, you don't get it back, but they have stole the victory point from you as well. So that's a 2-point swing in essence. And I like that aspect a lot. Component-wise, very nice components. Thick, sturdy plastic. Like, these do not feel like they are going to break. These are not going to break unless a full-grown man steps on these things, which would probably be very painful as well. So very nice components. Decent box insert. Nice size box. It's not too big, not too small. Well, too small, what am I talking about? It's not too big. And overall, Mod X, if you're in the market for an abstract strategy game that plays 2 to 4 players, this is definitely one that you can throw into the ring and potentially check out. Mod X, a game of strategy from Cryptozoic. I can recommend this game if you're in the market for an abstract strategy game that plays 2 to 4 players. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on the subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know. Picking your nose. Did you do it when you were a kid, or were you more of a thumb sucker? For me personally, I was not a thumb sucker. I never really sucked my thumb. I don't know what it was, but yes, I was a nose picker. I will admit that. Yeah. Shame, shame. The worst is when they do this trick. I have some kids in my class who've done this before, where they stick their thumb up their nose and they're just like, and I'm like, don't do that, don't do that. But yeah, nose sucker, thumb licker, fix that. Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.